In the Tennessee legislature calls for equal access to funding, facilities, and resources in school athletics for girls. State Senator Raumesh Akbari introduced the bill, and she's here today to talk about it. Welcome back.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Now, there's currently no law in Tennessee that guarantees female athletes get the funding needed. I'm assuming more is needed.
Yeah, that's correct. More is needed. I mean, I think we've seen with the WNBA, women's soccer, these are popular, sports, not just on the professional level, but certainly on a K-12 level.
Right.
And our girls deserve the same opportunities that our boys have had for years.
Definitely. Well, nationally, girls have 1.3 million fewer opportunities to play high school sports than boys. How does it's called the Tennessee Equal Opportunities for Girls Sports Act, address that imbalance?
Well, we think it'll really help. One, I think girls will feel more supported. They have access to facilities. They'll have access to better coaches. Their coaches will be paid more. There'll be additional funding for equipment and to travel. I mean, my colleagues in the legislature always talk about protecting girls in sports. Usually it's a way to exclude others from being able to participate. But Leader Karen Camper and I said, hey, let's actually give them the support they need so they can be successful.
Right, and because if they don't get money for travel, also, what's the point of having a team, right?
Yeah, they can't compete at the highest level. And quite frankly, it's more than just sports. It's about leadership. It's about discipline. It's about academics. It's about creating student athletes that will be our leaders for tomorrow.
And this also includes accommodations for girls or women as well, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we want all things to be equal. And again, it all ties to funding. So our motto related to this is, put your money where your mouth is. You want to protect girls, let's protect them in this way by funding them equally.
All right. Changing subjects a little bit. Of course, I have to touch on this. We also want to talk to you briefly about the legislation for a state takeover of Memphis Shelby County schools. And Monday, the Shelby County Commission came up with a vote on putting together their own advisory group for the board. What do you think about that, or do you have other ideas for helping MSCS?
I like the concept of an advisory board. In Chattanooga several years ago, they had 5 schools that just could not get out of the priority zone. Right. They created this advisory board made up of leaders across the state, corporate education, all that, and they were able to really move that district forward. I think the General Assembly is taking it several steps too far, removing school board members. The difference in the Senate version versus the House version is if a school board member is removed, the county commission gets to make that appointment. So potentially they could remove the entire. Well, the Commissioner of Education would remove the board, the State Board of Education would approve it, and then the County Commission would come in and replace them.
Now, Mark White told us that he wants to have a governing board, and then the commissioners would still be on the board.
Yeah.
How would that work?
So the governing board, his concept was just extremely, I think, again, overreach. And I love Mark White. We get along and work on various projects together. But he would make the school board a team of advisors, and the board of managers would actually be in charge of all decisions. The school board would not even be able to meet without the permission of the board of managers.
Doesn't that run into constitutionality issues?
I think all of the legislation does, and certainly, that's our motto, at least in my caucus, is we pass litigation, not legislation. But when I spoke to an attorney with the legislature about it, she said, listen, we assume everything's constitutional as it passes, but certainly I think there will be lawsuits, from here all the way to Nashville about it.
Right, right. Well, thank you again for coming in and talking to us about the Tennessee Equal Opportunity for Girls Sports Act and about the MSCS possible takeover. State Senator Akbari.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
All right.